I'll take to the streets of Isla Vista and slay every single person I see there.
This is 22-year-old Elliot Rodger, a young man who by all accounts lived a comfortable life and got many things in life handed to him. Despite this, there were two things that Elliot could not have in life: a beautiful girlfriend and the loss of his virginity. There's one old quote that sums up Elliot's frustrations perfectly: desire is the root of suffering. Elliot desired these two things to the point of madness. This desire, mental struggles, and the hatred towards anyone living out his desire would make for the perfect storm for the horrifying events that occurred on May 23rd, 2014. Let's find out what led to this in the years leading up to the tragedy, as well as what exactly happened on May 23rd, 2014. Elliot Rodger was born on July 24th of 1991 in a London hospital to his young parents, Father Peter Rodger, age 26, and Lee Chen, his mother, age 30. His early years were not much different than any other child, with him playing outside in nature, going on walks with his grandmother, picking berries, and swinging on swing sets. He was just a child discovering the large, ever-evolving world around him with a generally positive outlook on life. At some point after Elliot's 4th birthday, his family would make the decision to move to the United States due to his father believing Los Angeles would offer more opportunities for his directing career. Before moving there, they would take a mini vacation to California to look at the area. At this point, at age 4, Elliot claimed he had already been to 6 countries: the UK, France, Spain, Greece, Malaysia, and the United States. A true testament to his family's wealth. Before Elliot turned 5, his mother would become pregnant again. Elliot would soon after have a younger sister, who would be named Georgia. After Elliot's 5th birthday, the plans would be set in place for the permanent move to the United States. The family would end up with a very nice house in Woodland Hills, California. This was the type of neighborhood where nearly every house possessed a pool, and overall it is seen as an affluent area. It was around the Woodland Hills area that Elliot would spend a large portion of his life and have many ups and downs throughout the years to come. At age 5, he would meet his first friend, a girl in school named Maddie Humphreys. Elliot would label her as the first and last female friend he ever had. She would be his friend for the next several years. He would also meet his first enemy around this time, a boy named Joey, who Elliot labeled as a rotten little prick. Joey would become Elliot's greatest enemy throughout his time in elementary school. Unfortunately, there would be plenty of these people that Elliot deemed his enemies in the coming years. Elliot claimed he was very small and short-statured during his early years. This is significant to mention because Elliot would keep claiming the same thing despite being around 5'9" during his adult years. While this isn't tall by any means, it is far from short. He would see himself this way, which would make his rage and envy bubble over upon seeing taller and stronger men. This rage would be sent to new heights if these same men had a beautiful girl on their arm. Elliot would continue through school and life relatively happy until a bit after his 7th birthday, where he would receive news from his mother that she and his father would be getting a divorce. The end result would be that his parents would move to separate houses and the custody of Elliot and Georgia would be shared between them. Elliot labeled this event as negatively life-changing. Only a few months after the divorce, Elliot's father introduced him to a new woman that was in his life, Sumaya. Sumaya would turn out to be his father's girlfriend. Elliot was shocked at how quickly his father was able to attract a new woman after the divorce. Unbeknownst to his father, this would make Elliot gain a good deal of respect for him, with Elliot seeing him as a superior male due to this ability to quickly attract another female. Sumaya would go on to become Elliot's stepmother, with the two getting into heated verbal arguments often as the years went on. Sumaya and Peter Rodger would have a child of their own a few years down the road, a boy named Jazz. This would give Elliot a little brother who was around 16 years his junior. It's important to note here that the same year Sumaya and Elliot's father married would be the same year that Elliot would start therapy. He would be in therapy from age 8 all the way up until age 22. The next few years went by with Elliot trying to fit in with the cooler kids as cliques started to form within the school. He would frequently dye his hair, pick up new hobbies such as basketball, and try to mimic the popular kids in school. Outside of a few compliments, these efforts were in vain. It is also around this time he would begin to resent other boys due to their superior size and strength over him, which irritated him to no end. When Elliot was 11 years old, his parents would enroll him in a 4-week summer camp. It is here that he would have an experience that he would describe as an experience that would scar him for life. While playing with some friends he made at the camp, he would accidentally bump into a girl his age. The girl would then get irritated and begin cursing at Elliot and shove him, which embarrassed him in front of everyone at the camp. He would claim this event traumatized him to no end and is what made him nervous around girls to the point he would be extremely cautious around them. On top of his already shy and reserved attitude, this would make talking to girls an extreme challenge. When Elliot was around 12 years old, he would go to a nearby internet cafe/arcade known as Planet Cyber. While Elliot didn't have much friends, he did have one or two decent friends at the time, and they would often go together to Planet Cyber and play games such as Diablo 2. One of these times while at Planet Cyber, Elliot would observe an older teenager actually watching pornography on his phone. At the time, Elliot knew nothing of sexual interactions and would actually cite this very moment as one of the moments that ultimately ruined him and introduced him to the world of sex. He came to even hate hearing the word sex, as it would remind him of everything the world had denied him. Around age 13, Elliot would acquire World of Warcraft for Christmas. Coinciding with this, his mother decided to move to an apartment. The idea of living in an apartment was a low-class, poor person thing to do, according to Elliot, and disgusted him. He was so embarrassed to live in an apartment that he stopped inviting the few friends he had remaining over. Due to both of these factors, this would be the point where Elliot's social life would end almost entirely. As middle school soon came to a close, Elliot would be viewed as the weirdest kid in school and would constantly be ridiculed and bullied. Along with the aforementioned 2 points, this would cause him to retreat further and further into World of Warcraft and become more and more antisocial. Moving into Elliot's high school years, it was pretty much the same as his middle school years, with him being ridiculed and bullied on a daily. He was bullied so much at Taft High School that he would actually break down and cry multiple times as his mother was dropping him off at the school. After a few times of this happening, Elliot's parents would actually get together and create a plan to help alleviate some of this bullying. They would enroll him in a continuation school where he would essentially show up at a school for 3 hours and the rest of the schoolwork would be done at home. When Elliot was 16, he was so lonely and depressed, his mother would actually attempt to set up play dates for him with other kids around his age in the area. Despite these efforts, Elliot would fall deeper and deeper into depression and loneliness, having plenty of time to sit there in his room and stew in anger with the dwindling social life. Around this time, he would also become even more resentful and angry toward couples he saw in public, even going so far as to say he hated them, despite them not egging him on or aggravating him, and also despite never having met some of these people. He would go on to say that having to watch these couples in public show affection and love to each other was a living hell to him. Due to this increased anger, he would become bolder in his claims, even stating to would-be friends and acquaintances how he thought that sex should be abolished. These wild beliefs, of course, just pushed people further and further away. Elliot's final 2 years of high school went by with more of the same, with Elliot's anger and resentment growing stronger. He even became resentful of his father during this time for not teaching him how to talk to women and interact with girls. It was also around these last few years of high school for Elliot that sheepish attempts would be made at social interactions, with Elliot appearing at a few gatherings but would leave after 5 minutes of sitting in the corner on his phone, not talking to anyone. No attempts would even be made. He would also begin lifting weights for a short while in order to not appear weak, and would change his hairstyle and appearance again in an attempt to try to fit in. He would also learn to drive to impress girls and would be gifted with a 2008 BMW sedan by his parents, which was a luxurious and fairly new car at the time. These efforts would prove fruitless and wouldn't yield the result Elliot was expecting, as all he would do is linger in or nearby his car expecting others to approach him first, which never happened. Moving on into Elliot's college years, Elliot would attend Moore Park College for a short while before moving to Santa Barbara City College while living in the Isla Vista area in the Capri apartments with a few roommates, James Hong and David Wang. Upon first seeing them, Elliot would already dislike them based on their voices and ethnicity. He would frequently argue with the pair and on one occasion even called the police on James Hong for stealing 3 candles worth $22. According to Hong's brother, Elliot stole Hong's measuring cup due to being irritated with him frequently cooking. In retaliation, Hong stole Elliot's candles to try to force a trade between them. Instead of exchanging the items, Elliot would call police. Despite how absurd this interaction was with his roommates, Elliot's other interactions with previous roommates would be just as bad. These previous roommates would often tease Elliot about being a virgin and make noises long into the night just to irritate Elliot. They would often also brag about their exploits, saying they had banged X number of girls just to irritate Elliot, as they knew it bothered him. The roommate preceding James Hong and David Wang was a chubby guy by the name of Spencer, who Elliot actually got along with until he brought a girl over. This sparked jealousy and created tension between them, with Elliot even calling the girl a whore on the basis that he thought Spencer smirked at him and acted cocky about having a girl over. Elliot not only had problems with his roommates, but he would also go to Barnes & Noble around this time to read books on self-help and other topics. He would arrive right when they opened and stay until they closed. While there, he would see couples walk by, which would cause him to have to run to the bathroom and cry out of pure frustration and anger on multiple occasions. He would also use multiple Facebook stalking accounts to look at former schoolmate profiles. Although this would backfire, as he would see many of his former middle and high school friends posing for pictures with women and going to parties. This caused a physical sickness in Elliot and made his jealousy and anger that much worse. Not only was Elliot having social issues, he was also having schoolwork issues as well around this time. While attending in-person classes, if he saw a guy hitting on a pretty girl or associating with a pretty girl in any way, he would get so jealous he would have to leave the class, and on one occasion he even dropped a class entirely as there was a jock type guy flirting with two beautiful women, according to him. While attending Santa Barbara City College, Elliot would frequently dress up and walk around the campus and surrounding area in expensive clothing brands such as Gucci and Armani. Whenever he wouldn't get the attention he desperately craved, it would cause him to resent and hate women even more, despite him not even attempting to interact with the women at all. He would simply just walk past them or linger nearby and expect the women to interact with him first. In fact, the only time in his 137-page manifesto that he initiated a conversation with a woman while sober in his college years was when he passed by a college-age female and said hello. He would say that she ignored him, which reinforced his beliefs. Since I feel it's relevant around this time span, Elliot would also try various dating apps, but would not have much success with that either. To say Elliot had mental struggles would be an understatement, even though he never was diagnosed with any sort of mental illness. Elliot had been seeing psychiatrists since he was approximately 8 years old to help with these struggles to little avail. In fact, he refused to take the antipsychotic medication he was prescribed by his psychiatrist, although it's really unclear if this would have helped or hindered him further. While we're on the topic of Santa Barbara City College, also known as SBCC, Elliot's anger would really start to bubble over during his time at SBCC. Upon meeting his father Peter for lunch one day, Elliot would observe a nearby couple touching and acting affectionate in public. This act caused Elliot to feel so ashamed and degraded that this couple would have the audacity to embarrass him in front of his father. To make matters worse, this was a Hispanic male with a good-looking white female. To Elliot, this was mind-boggling and made him that much angrier. He counted this as a direct attack to his dignity, despite the couple not even taking notice of him or doing anything intentionally to him. This thought process would cause him to stand up in the middle of his meal and start to walk over to the couple, soda in hand, with his plan being to dump his soda on their heads, a theme that would become all too common. Luckily, he was stopped by his father and calmed back down. However, Peter wouldn't always be there to stop Elliot's rage-induced outbursts. Soon after, without Peter there to stop him, a similar thing would occur at a Starbucks. A couple started tongue-kissing, as Elliot put it, in the store. When the couple left the store, Elliot would follow close behind and splash his hot coffee all over the couple and quickly make a getaway. He spent the next 3 hours after this in a nearby parking lot, giddy with emotions and happy that he had finally struck back against his enemies. This would start a theme of Elliot pouring drinks on couples and finding other ways to ruin their time. With Elliot's confidence growing with these attacks, another event would occur around this time. Elliot was walking in Gersh Park when he saw a group of popular kids gathering to play kickball. This group was complete with the sloppy jocks and beautiful women that he greatly despised, according to Elliot. He saw them laughing and having fun, which caused his rage to spike. He claims they insulted him with their presence and that he could not let that go unchecked. He immediately left and went to a local Kmart where he picked up a super soaker and filled it with orange juice from the same store. He then drove all the way back to Gersh Park where he still saw the same group playing together. He ran up while yelling and spraying the super soaker all over the group. The men in the group gave chase, but Elliot was too fast and too close to his car. He gleefully drove away in excitement, knowing that he had ruined their time. To save you guys a bit of time, there were many other incidents similar to the Starbucks incident where Elliot would drop his sweet tea or his Pepsi on couples or other people that angered him in public. With the Pepsi incident sparking a plethora of Yahoo answer threads actually started by Elliot questioning if he could get in trouble for it or not. Around 2012, Elliot's mental state would suffer yet another blow. He became fixated on the Powerball lottery, watching it rise well over $100 million. He had $6,000 in savings from allowances, Christmas money, birthday money, and other sources. In Elliot's mind, if he won the Powerball lottery, he would be an extremely wealthy young man, and he figured that would attract young females to want to have sex with him. He would get his hopes up extremely badly around this time, stating that it was his destiny to win the lottery, getting it through his head that it was a certain thing that he was going to walk away with this lottery money. Even coming up with these elaborate scenarios of what he was going to do with the money, how he was going to lord the money over all the popular kids, and this would be his ultimate revenge on them. He would first blow a few $100s in a few ticket buying sessions, but failed to win. The Powerball would then rise even more to $290 million, which prompted Elliot to spend $400 more on tickets, which he again failed to win. This would turn into $500 more as the prize rose to $363 million, and finally, when the Powerball was at $656 million, in a last-ditch effort, Elliot would drop $700 to try to win. This too would fail. There were 3 winners that split the $656 million evenly, and Elliot was not one of them. To Elliot, his hopes and dreams had just been shattered upon hearing the winners get announced. He would lock himself away in his apartment, falling into a deep depression. He was now thousands of dollars less wealthy and had nothing to show for it. This depression would last from March 31st of 2012 when the Powerball winners were announced until the end of summer the same year. In September, a similar series of events unfolded. The drawing for a $120 million jackpot commenced with another individual winning the money, with Elliot going so far as to say they stole the money from him. In a fit of rage, Elliot would beat his bed with a wooden sword, start slashing the air with his pocket knife, and down the majority of a bottle of wine. The rest of this wine would accidentally be spilled on Elliot's laptop, destroying it entirely. This series of events would cause Elliot to go to Best Buy and drop $1,500 on a new laptop. While the laptop was being prepared, staff informed Elliot that it would be ready in a few hours. This would cause Elliot to go to the shooting range while he waited. In the back of his head, he recalled his thoughts about his day of retribution as he shot the targets, thinking that the day of retribution was very possible now and that this would serve as good training for the firearms he would use. In 2013, Elliot would find the now defunct online community, PUAHate.com, which seems to stand for Pickup Artist Hate, and claim to be the forefront of the anti-pickup artist movement. Initially, this website would be just that, exposing pickup artist schools and related scams. Unfortunately, along the way it picked up another camp which consisted of incels. For those that don't know, incel stands for involuntary celibate, which means they wish to have sex but find themselves unable to, usually due to self-perceived slights of the world and other negative worldviews in general. In this second group, hate would fester on the shitty advice subforum. It became an echo chamber of troubled individuals talking about their inability and frustrations to get women, as well as their opinions as to why. Elliot Rodger was one of these individuals and found some of the posts insightful about the cruelty of women. Having found like-minded people on this website, it just reinforced some of Elliot's hateful opinions. With his opinions and rage reinforced, Elliot would decide that the only logical conclusion for the world denying him sex was to enact his plan of retribution that he had thought about so many times before. He initially planned for his retribution to take place on Halloween of 2013 in Isla Vista due to the large crowds and the entire town partying. He said there would be thousands of people crowded together that could be killed with ease, with the ultimate goal being to kill everyone in Isla Vista. However, upon taking to YouTube and reviewing last year's Halloween party footage, he would notice a ton of cops surrounding the parties. He backed off from doing it in October due to this, stating that one shot from a cop could ruin his whole plan. Therefore, his day of retribution would be pushed back to November. In July, just a few months from the date of retribution, Elliot would start exercising in his room in order to appear as attractive as possible to women. His plan was to do 2 weeks of intense exercise and then go out into Isla Vista and do everything he could to attract a girl and lose his virginity. He would deem this as giving humanity one more chance to accept him. If he was unsuccessful in this attempt and returned to his room as a virgin, he would go through with the retribution. As a result of this plan, Elliot would go out on a Saturday night on July 20th, just days before his 22nd birthday. He planned to attend a college party but was too nervous to go there sober. He bought a bottle of vodka on the way there and took some shots of alcohol to gather up some courage. He then drunkenly walked to a house party and walked right in the house. Elliot would walk out onto the balcony, and after seeing cocky and arrogant guys talking to women with some success, he would decide to do the same. He started hurling insults at the surrounding partygoers. This would cause them to insult Elliot back and laugh at him, which according to Elliot was the last straw. He flew into a hate-fueled rage and tried to push as many women off the 10-foot balcony as possible. This resulted in the men ganging up on him and tossing him over the ledge onto the street below, snapping his ankle in the process. He hobbled away humiliated and full of rage. age. To add insult to injury, one of the guys stole his Gucci sunglasses that his mother gave him, angering him even further. In a drunken haze, he approached the wrong house party, yelling at them and cursing at them to give his sunglasses back, as well as hurling other insults at the partygoers. This caused the partygoers of this different house to drag him onto the driveway and begin hitting and attacking him. He states the worst part of this ordeal was that not one woman offered to help him as he stumbled home bloody and injured after the attack. These events were the catalyst of what was to come. What was to come did not happen in November as previously planned due to Elliot's injury. Elliot would keep postponing the Retribution until May 24th, 2014. He would decide on this new date. May 24th was significant as it was the last weekend in the spring semester at SBCC. He wanted to catch the students before the majority of them returned to their hometowns. Leading up to this new date set by Elliot, he would upload a series of videos to YouTube expressing his anger and resentment toward girls and the world in general.
Hey, Elliot Rodger here. Right now I'm just taking a walk through the park in this really nice, secluded area. I'm just contemplating about my life and how unfair it's been lately. Hell, it's been unfair for the last 8 years, ever since I hit puberty. Ever since I started desiring girls, but they never desired me back. Life has been a living hell since then. I've been all alone. Right now it's spring break. Everyone else my age is out having fun with their friends and their girlfriends. Here I am, taking lonely walks through a park. But still, I have to admire the beauty of this place. I mean, look at it. Magnificent, isn't it?
As the date grew closer and closer to May 24th, the vlogs also grew more and more sinister, with his frustration for women becoming more and more apparent with each passing vlog. Also in these vlogs, his full-on narcissism would become extremely apparent.
Hey, Elliot Rodger here. I'm up in the hills in Montecito right now. It's truly a beautiful day. But, as I've always said, a beautiful environment is the darkest hell if you have to experience it all alone. And sadly, I've been alone for a very long time. I've been attending college in Santa Barbara for about 2.5 years now. And in those 2.5 years, I've experienced nothing but loneliness and misery. And my problem is girls. There are so many beautiful girls here, but none of them give me a chance, and I don't know why. I don't know why you girls are so repulsed by me. It doesn't make sense. I do everything I can to appear attractive to you. I dress nice. I'm sophisticated. I'm magnificent. I have a nice car, a BMW. Well, it's nicer than 90% of the people at my college. You know, I'm polite. I'm the ultimate gentleman. And yet, you girls, you never give me a chance. I don't know why. You know, I put a lot of effort into dressing nice. These sunglasses here were $300. Giorgio Armani. So I'll put them on. See? Hold on. Car. See? Elliot Rodger here. I'm just sitting in my car right now after watching that beautiful sunset descend beyond that hill up there, enjoying a nice vanilla latte. Oh yeah. That's nice. Makes me feel all pumped up. I've been doing a lot of thinking about how sad and unfair my life has been, all because girls haven't been attracted to me. I've been going through college for 2.5 years now, and in those 2.5 years, I've had to rot in bleak and sad loneliness, while other guys get to enjoy all the pleasures of, sex and socializing and partying. I've never had a taste of that, because no girls give me a chance. No girl at my college has ever expressed any interest in me. I mean, you give a chance to all these stupid, obnoxious guys that I see you walking with, but you don't give a chance to me. Why not? I'm such a magnificent guy. I'm beautiful. You can't deny that. I've traveled all over the world. I have so much to talk about. I'm civilized, intelligent, sophisticated. I have a sense of style. And yet you girls don't see it. And every single day, I have to be insulted by the sight of all these lesser men walking around with beautiful girls. I see so many couples where the guy is just so unworthy of having a beautiful girlfriend like that, and yet they're together. He has her love, and I've never had any of that love and affection from girls. Why do you girls give those guys a chance, but not me? I deserve it more. Hey, Elliot Rodger here. I'm just sitting in my car right now, enjoying the view of the beach. And my view has been ruined by this sight right here. In front of me, sitting right there on that bench, is a young couple, I presume about my age. I was enjoying such a nice view until they came and sat down and started kissing. This is the reason why life isn't fair. Why does that guy get to have such a beautiful girlfriend while I'm all alone? Why? Why can't I experience something like that right there? They're kissing right now. It's torture for me to watch, but I have to do this. I have to film this. I have to show the world why life isn't fair.
These YouTube videos would cause a report to be sent to the local health services, who would then contact the local police. Police would arrive at Elliot's apartment, where they would interrogate him outside, but ultimately, due to Elliot saying it was all a misunderstanding and acting as if everything was fine, the police would leave without searching Elliot's room. Had they searched his room, they would have found his guns, his detailed manifesto, and some of his other plans for his day of retribution. In a state of paranoia up until the day of the attack, Elliot would keep a loaded pistol nearby in case the police came back, with a plan to shoot them and escape out his apartment window if they returned. This would cause a deletion of the videos to avoid further disruptions, with Elliot planning to re-upload them all before he enacted his plan. This plan would come to fruition earlier than planned on May 23, 2014, with Rodgers writing his final diary entry and uploading his final YouTube video as well.
Elliot Rodger here. Well, this is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity. Against all of you. For the last 8 years of my life, ever since I've hit puberty, I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires, all because girls have never been attracted to me. Girls gave their affection and sex and love to other men, but never to me. I'm 22 years old, and I'm still a virgin. I've never even kissed a girl. I've been through college for 2.5 years. More than that, actually. And I'm still a virgin. And it's been very torturous. College is the time when everyone experiences those things such as sex and fun and pleasure. But in those years, I've had to rot in loneliness. It's not fair. You girls have never been attracted to me. I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it. It's an injustice, a crime, because I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy. And yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men, instead of me, the supreme gentleman. If I can't have you, girls, I will destroy you. You denied me a happy life, and in turn, I will deny all of you life. It's only fair. I hate all of you. Humanity is a disgusting, wretched, depraved species. If I had it in my power, I would stop at nothing to reduce every single one of you to mountains of skulls and rivers of blood. And rightfully so. You deserve to be annihilated. And I will give that to you. You never showed me any mercy, and so I will show you none. You forced me to suffer all my life, and now I'll make you all suffer. I've waited a long time for this. I'll give you exactly what you deserve, all of you. All you girls who rejected me and looked down upon me and, treated me like scum while you gave yourselves to other men. And all of you men for living a better life than me. All of you sexually active men. I hate you. I hate all of you. And I can't wait to give you exactly what you deserve. Utter annihilation.
It's extremely important to insert here that Elliot's initial plan was to travel to his father's house while his father Peter was away on a business trip. Once there, he planned to murder Sumaya and his younger brother Jazz. This was mostly due to 3 different things. Firstly, he wanted the family SUV to use in the subsequent murders, as an SUV would do more damage when you ram people than a BMW sedan would. Secondly, he disliked Sumaya intensely due to her being a constant thorn in his side, therefore this would just be a revenge kill. Lastly, he did not want his brother Jazz to ever surpass him in the future as a man. However, this plan could not happen as Elliot's father was actually home on May 23rd. He did not want to attack the house if Peter was there due to the possibility of him hesitating when it came down to murdering his own father. To start his day of retribution, Elliot, armed with 2 blades, would begin with his roommates. In order to finish preparations, he didn't want the risk of anyone else around to potentially ruin his plans. He stabbed James Hong and David Wang as they entered the apartment at different times of the day, which were his 2 roommates. When George Chen, a friend of James Hong and David Wang, came to hang out with them, Elliot would kill him too, stabbing him 92 times. A total of 142 stab wounds were shared between the 3 men. A few hours after the murders of the 3 men, Elliot would be seen in his car working on his laptop by a passerby. This was Elliot recording and uploading his Retribution video. Upon uploading this video to YouTube, he would send out his 137-page manifesto to his family and friends, which detailed his depraved thoughts and outlook on life. Rodger's therapist took notice of the manifesto quickly and called Rodger's mother. In addition to the manifesto, Elliot's mother would take notice of Rodger's Retribution video that was uploaded and would contact Elliot's father. Being extremely alarmed, the two, along with Sumaya, would speed toward Isla Vista, calling Isla Vista police along the way. Minutes after sending the manifesto, Rodger would pull up outside of the Alpha Phi sorority house. He would be seen knocking on the door for a few minutes with no answer. It's unclear if he wasn't heard knocking or if the sorority heard but didn't answer. Regardless, this non-action probably saved dozens of lives. After not getting an answer, Elliot would backtrack towards his car where he would open fire outside of the sorority, killing 2 women and seriously injuring a third. The 2 women were 22-year-old Catherine Brianne Cooper and 19-year-old Veronica Elizabeth Weiss. Rodger quickly got into his car and resumed driving. He then fired into an empty coffee shop and then a deli. The deli unfortunately had a good number of people inside. One of these people was Christopher Martinez, who was struck 7 times and tragically succumbed to his gunshot wounds. Rodger then began driving on the wrong side of the street, trying to hit as many pedestrians as possible with his car while spraying the sidewalks with gunfire. He would then strike a male pedestrian with his car and then shoot a couple that were exiting a pizza parlor, along with the cyclist on a different street, wounding all 3. He continued down this street and attempted to fire shots at a female pedestrian. These shots would miss. Elliot would then make his way down Del Playa Drive, which was around the area where he had been beaten at the house parties the previous year. Here, he would strike 2 male victims with his car, injuring them both. He turned off on another street and shot a male pedestrian, wounding him. After turning off on another street, Elliot would see a skateboarder, a cyclist, and another pedestrian. He would strike all 3 with his vehicle, causing them injury. Shortly afterwards, Elliot would see 2 males and spray them both with gunfire while still driving, hitting them both, causing more bodily injury. At a nearby intersection, Elliot would get into a gunfight with 3 sheriff deputies and would be shot in the hip. With Elliot wanting to avoid capture at all costs, he could tell this was the end for him. Elliot would speed through the officer's gunfire, hitting another male cyclist along the way, causing injury. With the car still moving, Elliot would take his own life via gunshot to the head. The car would then crash into another vehicle and would come to a stop. Elliot's reign of terror was over, but not before he took 6 other young individuals with him, along with wounding 14 others. The 6 deceased victims were David Wang, George Chen, James Hong, Catherine Cooper, Veronica Weiss, and Christopher Martinez. All very young individuals that seemed to be on the right track, with plenty of people coming forward and having nothing but nice things to say about them. Veronica Weiss made lasting impressions within her sorority as well as around the school despite only being a freshman, with friends and family calling her sweet and friendly. She was also said to be a kind-hearted person by many. Her father would say that she was a tomboy at heart, grew up loving sports, and excelled at school, earning straight A's while being proficient on the water polo and swimming teams. She wanted to be a financial wizard and use her high aptitude with complicated math. Catherine Cooper was said to be an excellent student, very often averaging a 4.0 in many of her classes. She was said to be outgoing and extremely helpful. One of her former teachers fondly remembers her out of 2,500 students that he had in a single year, saying that she was a standout student and was something special. She was an art history and archaeology student at UC Santa Barbara. Christopher Martinez was very studious and was an avid reader. He was preparing for a year studying abroad in London when he died. He was said to be a terrific person in just about every way possible and excelled at various sports. James Hong was a computer science student. He was very proficient at programming and even entered many 24-hour worldwide programming competitions. Hong was extremely helpful not only to his team during these competitions, but would also help out members of other teams that he saw struggling. He was said to be a very smart guy and pleasant to be around. Following in his parents' footsteps, George Chen was set to become an engineer. He had hopes of working at Lockheed Martin alongside his mother. He was a kind-hearted, all-around great guy and would often be seen helping out the elderly with their mail, taking out their trash, and doing various other favors for the elderly. He was also a volunteer in a Buddhist-based organization, Zhu Qi. This is an international organization that helps relieve the suffering of those in need. David Wang was into computer programming. He was described by friends and classmates as a hard worker who pitched in anywhere he could and never complained. He enjoyed spending his time with George Chen and James Hong playing video games and discussing computer engineering. He was just about to move from the apartment due to the loud music Elliot Rodger would play long into the night. What about Elliot's parents? Well, his father in a very emotional and somber interview would state that at times part of him wishes his son had never been born due to all the pain he caused.
The father of Adam Lanza now says that there are times he wishes his son had never been born. Do you ever feel that way?
That's a really loaded question. That's a loaded question, Barbara. A part of me says yes. And the reason is because he did an awful lot of harm to young men and young women who didn't deserve to die. And my son did it.
The community of Isla Vista would be deeply affected with this loss of life, with many candlelight vigils being held to honor the victims of this tragedy. The ripple effects of Elliot Rodger's actions would be felt for years to come, and are even felt to this day by those affected. That's about all I have for you guys with this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.